And another really tough role for parents after an incident like this would be teaching them to rebuild trust in adults. What would your advice be around that not all adults are unsafe?
Yeah, I think we did talk about this a little bit last time too. I think there's you know, it's that balancing act, isn't it? Because I think as parents too, we might go into that kind of overprotective drive of not wanting to let our
if you're working
children
in the sexual violence space, you can sit there and think, how safe is the world?
Yeah, because we know, and as Catherine said, I don't think we've actually talked about the actual prevalence, but in New Zealand it's 1 in 3 females will be harmed by the time they're 18, and is it 1 in 6 boys?
That we know of?
Yeah, that we know of, and of course, well, I think they're the estimates, aren't they? Because again, we know that most children don't disclose, so it's really, really prevalent.
Big numbers.
And so, I mean, it's understandable, especially if this has happened to your child, that you would be thinking, well, hey, I'm just not, I'm not happy for you to go for a sleepover or even a play date, or, actually out of my sight for a while. But I guess we have to be careful that we're not kind of engendering that fear of the world when our child might already be sitting with quite a bit of that as it is. So I think how we role model that can be really important, because they're watching our lead, and if mum thinks it's okay, or if dad thinks it's okay, then maybe I'm okay. But also I think there's a lot of lessons or learnings, teachings that we can do incidentally with our children to minimise risk of future harm, because we know that once a child has experienced sexual harm, they're actually at greater risk of experiencing it again. So being able to have, certainly in therapy, working on preventative psychoeducation and sharing that with parents, I think can help parents to feel a little bit more confident. And then maybe that washes off a bit on children to feel a little bit more confident. So I'm not sure if I'm actually answering your question, Liz.
No, you
is
are.
It how to build the trust?
Yeah.
Well, I think those are the things, aren't they? Because I think if we don't want to go from, everybody's trustworthy to everybody's not trustworthy, and that pendulum can feel like a very natural flow. And when we've had that, as you were saying, that scary experience of something horrible happening, right, nobody's trustworthy, we don't want them to go back to everybody's trustworthy, because they're not. So, what are the things that you would notice? What are the warning signs? What are the things that as you as an individual, but also for your family around you, are picking up on in terms of how to keep yourself safe? And coming back to what you were saying before, Sam, it's never the fault of the young person or the child who has been hurt, but we can increase the likelihood of being safe. We can do some things to just have our wits about us a little bit more and notice things. And if someone gives us a funny feeling, then what is some language we can have around that? Who are some safe people we can check that out with? What are the ways in which we can, increase the likelihood that we're going to be okay? We might also do all those things and still have something happen to us, which doesn't make it our fault. But I think we all want a sense of agency, and to simply be saying, okay, the world's not safe now, full stop, then that's a really powerless position to be in. Whereas to say, yeah, there's some unsafe people in this world, but actually how do you create some agency, some sense of self, some control over how do I be in the world as safe as possible? That can be a really important lesson to learn for everybody.
For sure. Nothing's foolproof.
No.